I just recorded a video for this particular subject and I watched it back and it's just me fucking rambling and I get my fucking errors all fucked up. Like I'm talking about the guys from 2000s and I'm talking about 2025. So we're starting this again, all right? Edit. Okay. So what I wanted to discuss was my fascination with the obscurity of some of these artists with black metal. So with the older guys, the guys that started this scene, it's an easy fucking, you can read it like a book, all right? They're OGs. If they're still around today, they're still releasing. Some of them have still got it, some of them don't have it. But if you look back on the older ones, the tape trading, Mayhem, Euronymous, and all that shit, and the tape trading was something that came with its own mystique built in, all right? Because you would get the letter, you'd get some bullshit on it, you'd get a tape, like just a recording tape, TDK tape with names scribbled across it, and then somewhere along the lines you would find, and it would be sometimes injected into those letters, the way they wrote and tried to cosplay shit up, but legends would grow. Someone would say, hey man, have you heard this tape? These fucking guys are over there fucking burning churches. They're evil. They're the fucking new whatever. And then that would be, recorded, sent to someone else with a letter of your memory of something that you've been told. Maybe you've had a little bit of fucking artistic flair to that letter, and you would see the legend grow and the legend build momentum. And then by the time you fucking got to it, you get a movie about mayhem and killing people in forests and fucking burning shit down. Legend. It's all legend. Some of it's true, okay? But the story is fucking entertainment. But 2025, let's say the last 10 fucking years, right? Bands that are coming out now that are trying to emulate this, cloak and dagger, kind of hiding behind shadows, bad Xerox covers and awful photos of themselves where you can't tell who it is. Some of them are successfully being able to keep that myth and the secrecy and do it well. The question has always been, or the question I've always had, in a world where there is so many fucking musicians, so many bands, recording at home has gotten a lot easier. Like, how does that guy remain in the shadows but become like a fucking artist that people will, kill their own mother to get like a first edition pressing of something? And the only way that I can fathom, because I'm a cynical motherfucker, is you've got to have some type of mouthpiece, all right? So if these guys don't have social media and they aren't doing interviews and they're not getting on YouTube and talking bullshit, then I'm going to go and bet you hand over fucking, like fist, or not that, but you know what I mean? I'm going to bet my fucking firstborn here that they have their hands in rather record labels or something else, whether they kickstarted it themselves, and that's what's talking for them. All right. They get a few bands, they do all the legwork that we're all doing out here, and they're pushing that thing while the artist remains over here in the shadows, very anonymous, very mysterious. But if they get that, the black metal gods smile upon them and grant them the right ears at the right time, again, stories start. Check this out. We're sharing it. We're dumping files onto Instagram. We're putting shorts up here. We're doing all this shit. People are talking about it now. YouTube guys are reviewing all this stuff from the underground, which is great, but that's what's kicking along some of this stuff. It's the only way that I can make sense of it. Because if you're in this large fucking group of black metal musicians and they're all looking to sound the same, look the same, and play the same game of, never being out there interacting, then the only way that they can do it is someone is pulling the old tape trading technique of sending all those cassettes out to the people that they think are going to like it so they can talk about it, or they have some, let's say, dummy account or record label they made up by themselves that is talking highly about them and somehow gathering interest. Now, if it is all bullshit and it's fake, think about the what you've got to sell to get someone to hand over cash to buy that cassette and listen to it and pass it on to the next guys, right? So you've still got to have some type of what's the word? Like some type of character or some type of something that's going to give someone that, oh, fuck, I'm excited to hear this. That's what I think's happening in 2025. But the twist is where back in the day, the tape trading fed the fire. Now what's got to happen is the band's just got to poke its head up over the crowd just a little bit, and then dive themselves back into, the fucking black pit. Because, again, anyone can take a shitty photo. Everyone's got access to a fucking photocopier. Everyone can kind of play a guitar. You can put your iPhone up to a fucking amplifier now and record anything you want. So it's probably not as gorgeous and romantic as you think it is. It's probably a lot of smoke and mirrors. And that's the way I think it's happening. Now, even if you released, a bunch of demos, and keep in mind, that's the other thing too. If you ever look at bands, coming from the early 2000s up till now, the amount of material that they're releasing is crazy. 4 or 5 things a year. That was unheard of back in the day because it was expensive to get to studios. Record labels, they were paying for things at one point. Remember that? Back in the day. And it wasn't a popular style. It hadn't yet hit its crescendo, right? So when they get to that, when they release their little bit of music and it's in very limited amounts, and then the only reason some people want some things is because they can't have them, right? They can't buy the cassette. They can't hear the music. YouTube has a demo here and there, and then someone says they have something new or a rehearsal tape, and then boom, it's fucking built in. It's like it's got its own life. But they get to that point, they dive back in. Now, you can dive back in, have a bit of success, dive back in, and be lost again amongst that whole sea of musicians trying to get up and get above and get into that limelight. So there is like this layer above being unknown that you have to maintain. Otherwise, you move on to the next one. You don't hear anything about them. You can't find their music, out of sight, out of mind. You go off to the next one who's doing it better. But they have to be able to maintain it, have some music come up, pop up, get it out there, give a few chances here and there to be able to maintain that type of momentum. That shit's not fucking easy. And if you're paying for it out of your own pocket, shit can get expensive. And you're going to be in that shit for, almost every waking hour trying to leverage what you've got, what you're doing, try to put some little fucking fires over there, start a little bit of fire over there. It's a full-time job maintaining that. And trust me, I've spent many an hour at work sitting there looking at a fucking screen, looking like I'm working, but thinking, how can I make this one more in the aesthetic that I want it to be in? How can I be that guy that just gets to sit back, not have to get on fucking YouTube, never speak to anyone, play music, release it, and the 20 fans that I've got go fucking rabid and buy the 15 tapes that I've got in my fucking collection? How do you get to that? As insincere as that fucking is, it's probably the way that it's happening. But once you hit that point, it's fucking easy sailing to the point where if you release something on a fucking good label, and sometimes it's the label can release great stuff time and time again. You get to that point, and the label can take over the fucking driver's seat. And now they're putting out a good product. It's got your name attached to it. You've got some heat. Bada bing, bada fucking boom. And there's a few labels that you can go look at today that are an example of this new way being done. Forbidden Files is a favorite of mine, and they release like really like raw black metal. They release like dungeon synth. It's all very black metal adjacent, if not just black metal. But the main fucking guy who runs that show is also in what 2 or 3 of the bands, like the bigger bands there. He's got his fingers in a lot of pies. He also does all the artwork. So he's controlling the media, he's controlling the image, and by and large, he's controlling the music that's going out there. But he packages it really well. This is that example of the 21st century. I guess they were 21st century too, but like the recent version on how you can do this and do this really well. And I think they are a great case study. And I would love to listen to or read an interview with the guy, the main guy over at Forbidden Files, because I think, you know, he's probably a very knowledgeable human being. He's probably involved in a lot of shit. Like sometimes you'll see him out riding a bike, and other times you see him in a forest with a sword, right? It's characters and real life. But the record label guy who gets out there and talks and does the representation for the label is very smart. It looks the same, it's very uniform, and you know what you're getting when he puts something out. Now, are they selling out of everything? I don't know. I don't think they are. But the label, their Instagram page, and all that shit is a shitload of followers, and they probably, and they do it. They actually put out a product that is very, very fucking high class. They're not putting out just TDK recorded tapes. You know, everything's professional. But the image kind of harkens back to the old ways, which is fascinating. The other label, which I've spoken about before, is Grimdaw. But Grimdaw do it in a bit of it's a reverse. It's a mirror image of that. It looks like there's 2 guys, though I can't confirm that. I'm not a dungeon synth guy, but it looks like there's 2 guys that have a lot of different kind of pseudonyms or a lot of different names. I'm not sure if they're all in the same bands or they're all different, but they will do it the complete do-it-yourself way. Recycled cassette tapes. And this is, look, you want a fucking free idea? I'll give you a free idea. I was going to use this for a demo that I was going to do after my first one, but I fucking lost all the files, and I've since got them back, and I'm probably going to do something with them, but this may not be what I want to do. But at my local Goodwill, I found a lot of sermon tapes, all right? Sermons, like church sermons. And they were, 30 minutes aside or 15 minutes aside or whatever it was. And it was a pack. It was like, remember they used to get those plastic packs and there'd be like maybe 8 or, 10 tapes in them. So what I wanted to do was buy that, to a limited run, and record my, blasphemous black metal over church sermons. Fucking amazing. I mean, I don't know how it would sound. The tapes are probably decrepit and fucking been worn out, but if they sounded shitty, even better. All right, there's nothing that can go wrong with this. And then write something over the top or leave the fucking old label on there with, Father fucking Joe talking about Moses and shit. Like, it would be fucking awesome just on that level. Go and buy yourself a Bible. You can go to, again, while you're Goodwill picking up those tapes, go and buy yourself a Bible. Tear those fucking pages out. Print your cover on that. Fucking, it costs you nothing, all right? $10 and maybe some printer ink and some postage. But that's just one of those fucking things that 20 years from now, 5 years from now, 2 years from now, when you've got none left, someone who's got your original printed on a fucking Bible on church sermon tapes and they sound like utter fucking dog's nuts, that's a cool fucking item. So there is some blueprints you can follow. And if you're not going to put your face on the camera, you can at least have some artistic integrity with the image that you're putting out there for your band, project, whatever you want to call it. There's a million of them. I spend all day at work doing the same thing. Like, I've got something I want to put out professionally middle of this year. I've got someone doing the artwork for it. I've based that artwork on an old favorite of mine that I've always loved. He did a series of them. So I'm going to have that element wrapped into it. I'm going to put the logo over top of it. That was created by a fucking black metal OG, fucking Rock from Sadistic. And that's going to be something that will look, sound, and be a professional thing. But and I know I said it, I don't necessarily want to go back and dub my own tapes, but I've been searching for easier ways to do it. And I think the idea isn't to have the tape, do a few of them, and then make them as you sell them. So I'm going to take my time. There's going to be a definite theme with this. And I've already got the songs recorded, and I just didn't know what to do with them. But I think I had this kind of thing that I've been kind of mulling over for the last few weeks that I really want to try. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Who gives two fucks? But it's going to be a very themed release that's going to look and sound very much like this came out in the early 2000s, hopefully late 90s. But that's what I want to try and achieve with it. Now, I can tell you what my problem is as far as an image problem is. I'm not fucking angry. I'm not burning down churches. And I'm not killing gay guys in a forest. All right? So automatically I'm at the fucking back of this queue. I really am more of a student of this art form, and I like to put my flair into it, my taste into it. What do I think is lacking to the best of my ability? So I think if anything, that's what makes me different, which isn't much, all right? Because I'm not a great fucking guitar player. I'm a semi fucking so-so drummer, and everything that I've done has kind of been self-taught, especially with the producing side. But I can control the aesthetic, and I can do that to the exact way that I want it. It's the only thing that I've got 100% control of, that I know I can make happen down to the minuscule detail that I've got in my head. And that's something where I think goes a long way in this world of, make-believe people running around forests in cloaks and holding swords and running through the snow naked. Is the looks of these things has to be in line with the old ways of doing them. That is your lifeline back into the scene and being able to carve out your own way. So do I believe that the obscurity thing is the best way? I don't know. Would I have liked to have had that? Would I have done things different when I started, all the way in 2024? Would I have done it different? Yeah, I would have done it different. But I'm going to do it the way that I want to do it. I've made my mistakes. I've asked all my questions to people. I like to be prepared before I go into the next thing so I don't make as many mistakes. And I encourage you all to ask people as many questions as you can. People like me in the scene love talking to other people doing the same thing about what they're doing. I'll tell you what I'm doing if you want to know, and we can swap stories and think of better ways to do it. But what I can control is the way my shit looks, and to some extent the way it sounds, till I get better at that. But I don't think obscurity is the only way to go, but you still need aesthetics. So you can choose which way you're most comfortable with. Hey, look, if you don't even like jumping on camera and talking, if you hate the fucking sound of your own voice, definitely. If you're in it for the art, throw out your music. You're going to find an audience that's going to love it. It's going to be a slow road, unless you're fucking Elton John of black metal. But chances are, slow, steady road. That's the way to do it. If you're a multimedia fucking god and you can edit and do all crazy things and you're great with scripts, this is another avenue. Frowned upon by the gods, but this is another way of getting there. You've still got to play the music and you've still got to dress it up and make it look cool. So you don't get out of it that because you can look good on camera and talk. But whichever way you do it, the beauty of this is that it's limitless within its limitations, which is fucking great, right? It's the hypocrisy of black metal. I love these fucking guys burn down churches but live with their mum. It's fucking amazing. It makes me feel a little bit warm as I fucking call up to go to sleep. But look, I rambled. If you got anything from it, there was a lot of shit going on in my head. I'm tired. I really want to go to bed. Now, I did get a question. Not a question, it was a statement by a guy. And he said, you're the only one talking about this type of stuff. And he's right, not because I'm so full of myself, but he's right because I've looked for it. And no one's really doing it. And I talk to people out there and I get their ideas, and some of them are good, some of them I can't do, and some of them I wouldn't do. But I encourage you, if you are in the position of you are starting or you've started and you're into your thing and you don't know where to go next, reach out to a friend who's doing something similar. Introduce yourself to someone else. Ask the questions. Get some answers. Some of them you'll love, some of them you may not think fit you at all. But it'll definitely kick that can a little bit further on down the road and hopefully inspire another, fucking stellar idea that you can use on the next release or next year. But I've ranted enough. Now I want to go lay down. Cheers, everybody. Till the next one.